down the beach that are going out at night every day of the week. And this is for the people that are up the quarries that go swimming all day and ain't got no worries. Said this is for the people of the summer season that call into work sick for no damn reason. And this is for the people that are down and over on my bros and my hoes of the GLO.
The Riverdale Rippers had a bunch of hates. Chinese food is the shit.
But obviously, this is just one of my favorite nights. You know, kids living out their dream, getting that call into the NFL. A little different in the virtual world. Also different will be without Todd McShay, Swampscott's own. Shout out to the Big Blue. He's caught a case of the Rona. He's at home nursing it. We hope he gets back and healthy as soon as possible. First missed draft for Todd since 2006.
And I mean, you know, he is one of the quintessential draft personalities as well. Tough to see him not out there. Former state champion along with El Pres Dave Portnoy out of the Big Blue.
Now let's dive into the nitty-gritty stuff. You know, why we're really here. What makes Beneath the Bar Beneath the Bar? Kind of got lost in the shuffle, I feel like, with everything going on surrounding coronavirus. But yesterday, for us, April 22nd, was the anniversary that Pat Tillman was taken from us. For those of you who don't know Pat Tillman, drafted in the NFL, played with the Cardinals for a couple years. At the age of 27, I believe it was, turned down millions of dollars on the table to play in the NFL, decided to go serve our country overseas, and tragically lost his life while fighting for our country. It means a lot to me as an American. Obviously, I'm a big supporter of everybody that's fighting for our freedom. Kurt, you're in the service, so we thank you for all you're doing. But it means a lot, and it's something that I felt should be talked about on the pod. So we wanted to give a quick shout out to Pat Tillman on a day like today.
Pat, absolute legend. I mean, people like that. Teddy Ballgame did that back in his day, I believe. Peak of their career, going into the service to defend the country and everything. Not enough can be said about that, so I'm glad you gave him a little shout out right there. Love to see that. You guys to tell me what to do. Like I'm not out here touching anybody. We're all skating around. So I mean, feeling great about myself at that point. Just cruising down the hill, going for a blade. We hit the fort a little bit. Fort, great little area. See across the harbor. Little island time.
You're talking about a lot of scenery. For the listeners at home, it's like an Italian sub. There's too much topping, not enough meat. Let's get into the
all right, that's my fault. So I get down to Tommy Malloy's house on the fort. Shout out Neptune's Harvest. And I get a text from Brie Fernandez. Shout out TBBLC, my roommate Jason's girlfriend. And
that's producer of the podcast, Jason.
Yep. How are you? So, I mean, I read this text and instantly it's just heart and stomach, like, feel like big time feeling it out for the first time in a while, vibing. Read this text in the dumps. The text reads, "Did you just cuss out my mother?" And I'm like, oh boy. And I'm like, it couldn't have been it. Who else did I cuss out right then? Nobody. And I was like, fuck, man. I mean,
what an idiot.
Hey.
I got a fucking text that read, "Did Kenzie just tell my mom to fuck off?"
Yeah, hey, was
my
it true?
heart sunk. I was like, Kenzie's not known to bite his tongue. So I was like, maybe they got in a little argument somewhere. I know they know each other. Maybe you just like, fuck off. And then that puts me in a terrible spot.
Yo, so
just a little bit. Before I have time to even comprehend what's going on, I hear this little thud on my car. And I'm like, oh my God, did I just hit a car? And then I look up and I don't want to over-exaggerate it, make it seem like it's worse than it really is. It's probably like 5 feet from my car. This guy's on the ground. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, I just hit somebody with my car. So I'm a little rattled. You know, I put my sausage McGriddle down, and this guy's laying in the crosswalk. This isn't, you know, downtown Gloucester. You can just hop out of your car and everything's hunky-dory. We're in Broadway Street in Everett. It's busy as all hell.
High traffic. That's high traffic.
Yeah, so it's like you don't want to get out of your car. People start beeping at you like you're an asshole. So I rolled down my window. This guy, luckily, he was probably like a middle-aged guy, you know, 30s, 40s maybe. And he's kind of like, oh, what the hell, buddy? He's still on the ground. He's still laying down. He's like, what the hell? And I'm like, oh, my God, dude. Like, what happened? He's like, you hit me with your car. I'm like, are you all right? And at that point, he gets up, so I kind of know he's all right. So I'm feeling a little bit better about myself. If we're talking like a 70-year-old man or woman, and I got them, that was like a hip check from I don't even know.
I mean, I've heard this story north of 10 times. Every time you tell it, all I can picture is in Happy Gilmore when they smoke that lady and she's going, Mister, and he dumps the Subway sandwich on the fucking windshield and he goes, here, eat this.
It was almost like that in a way. So he gets up and he's dusting himself off. And I was like, oh, you kind of came out of nowhere behind that meat truck. And he's like, what happened? Well, you're on your phone. He starts accosting me of being on my phone. I don't text and drive. So I'm like, no, I wasn't on my phone. But in the back of my head, I was like, I'm hammering that sausage McGriddle. All right, I'll give my fraud of the week. He's been in the news. Everybody knows him. He's a big TV guy. You might know him as Dr. Phil. I choose to refer to him as Mr. Phil. He's no doctor to me. But anywho,
just Phil.
Just Phil or fraudulent Phil, as we'll say on the podcast. But Phil, for those of you who don't know, Phil had a little comment on Fox News talking about the coronavirus, obviously, and it seems as though Phil just wants to open up the floodgates, start comparing the coronavirus and deaths by year with some just totally just off the map type stuff that has no relation to an pandemic or the coronavirus. He's talking about swimming pool deaths, car accidents, and he's supposed to be a doctor, right? You're a doctor. What's your first order of concern is protecting people's lives. Dr. Phil, he's more like Dr. Kevorkian. Guy just wants to put people down, open them up, feed them to the wolves. Just let them just go down and like shooting fish in a barrel. And it's like, dude, you're a doctor. Well, it turns out with a little more research, Phil had his license suspended about 6 years ago. Guy's still on TV trying to coach people's lives, tell everybody what to do. Sounds a little bit about like calling the kettle black, doesn't it there, Phil? Is that the saying? The pot calling the kettle black? Like, who are you to tell us how to live? You need to take a step back, look in the mirror, and reevaluate things. He's no doctor of mine. I wouldn't take any notes from him. Christ, he's out here wants people to die. How can you think he has your best interest in mind when you're talking about him about your relationships on national TV? You know?
I was going to piggyback off that for a minute. I was hoping that his real name wasn't Philip, and I was going to get on him for that, but his real name is Philip Calvin McGraw. I was hoping that Dr. Phil was an alias fully so we could absolutely hammer him, but I'm all in on what you just said.
Yep. And then my second, you're not really supposed to have two frauds of the week, but yesterday really got to me bad. I'll run through this real quick so Jaybird and Kirk can get to theirs. Second fraud of the week is the conglomerate of, I don't want to gender specify anything here, but a majority of them were women. Yesterday was Earth Day, for those who don't know, but the insane amount of Instagram pictures I saw of chicks wearing scantily clad clothing and using the caption or anything related to Earth Day, this is my Earth, one Earth, protect the Earth. That is a bunch of malarkey. Like, you just want to post a picture of yourself wearing next to nothing, out here. If you want to be an Earth person, touting the Earth, let's see some photos of you, maybe planting some flowers, maybe riding your bike to reduce carbon gas emissions. Instead, people that are out here posting pictures about the Earth, you're probably out chucking jewel pods out the window on the back shore every other day. So
let's specify, though. Let's specify if they are planting flowers. We hope that you are planting flowers in bikinis and in the same in the same outfits that you are going absolutely off in. And hey, I'm with you. If you're gonna post Earth Day, I don't want to see you ripping down a butt, checking some jewel pods. You should be planting some flowers. Maybe mowing a fucking
Don't get me wrong. It's not so much the photos I have a gripe with. It's using a sacred day such as Earth Day to justify the posting of a risque photo, so to speak.
Earth Day, so sacred.
The world.
And to them, it apparently is, because it's an excuse to post.
Honestly,
who are we to complain about girls posting hot pictures on the internet?
True.
Honestly, we got a neighbor that really picks on Mike, and Mike gets mad and posts Facebook comments. But today, I was laying in bed, probably 5 p.m., And this lady's known for it. She feeds the fucking seagulls. She goes out. I will quote you what she said. She has a can of tuna in a Tupperware, and there's no seagulls outside. She goes, "Come here, seagulls. I have tuna." And then she gets all pissed. She dumps the tuna into her yard, and next thing you know, 2 minutes later, there's 30 seagulls on 24 Chestnut right next to my window. I'm trying to play Xbox. We got shit. We park one night. You park one night at Chessie, you're guaranteed 4 new shits. Peppered. Peppered.
I have one question here, because that seems to be a very late fraud of the week entry.
It was.
So what is her fraudulence? Because
you don't feed fucking seagulls.
Does it? But like, she's not on record saying she doesn't feed. I've walked out and that bitch has been feeding friggin' gross.
Yeah, she's a fraud for feeding seagulls.
No, she feeds gross seafood to the seagulls. And dude, hey, I kid you not.
Go see.
It's like Woodstock for seagulls down there.
It's
like,
crazy.
They're playing bad music. The seagulls are congregating.
They're tossing cornhole. You know, they're having a good old time.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It might be a couple puff passes along too, but at no point is that chick saying she's not feeding the seagulls. So, as my producer, love the guy, best roommate of all time, I don't think she's a fraud.
A lot of frauds as objects. My fraud of the week was sheets on a bed. The sheet on a bed is I fucking hate it. I fucking hate sheets on a bed. What's the point?
I'm glad that you went with
to all the listeners, I will not use a sheet for the rest of my life. Hotels, I'm on top of the sheet. I get a new pack of sheets, they're in the trash. I don't need them. They're the worst.
What sheet are we talking about?
I go the stretchy sheet, comforter. No in-between sheet. What's the point?
When I'm in a hotel, I'm 100% taking advantage of the sheets because I don't have to change them or whatnot. But, you know, since I've lived on my own, you know, I always use the sheets.
I got to tell you.
On my own and found out it takes about a 7-person army to actually get sheets on your bed. I just scrapped everything. So off the top sheet, you know.
I have to leapfrog to get my friggin' stretchy thing. I literally get in a squat and I leap to the corner and I put it over.
Yeah, and then I have a full sweat on at that point. I'm angry.
I get pissed. Yeah.
Have you ever thought, and I just thought of this, obviously McShay's not in the draft, but if you look at Mel Kiper, he looks fucking exactly like the villain in The Incredibles. He just has a little more salt and pepper on top.
Syndrome.
Yeah, with a little more
angry motherfucker.
Yeah, a little skunk tail on top.
Mr. Incredible titty whacked him like in the first scene of the movie. He's pissed off.
Incredible's all-time animated movie.
I mean, Mrs. Incredible was thick as a motherfucker.
Hey, whatever you're into. Whatever you're into.
Animation.
This is for the people that are down the beach, that are going out at night every day of the week. And this is for the people that are up the quarries, that go swimming all day and ain't got no worries. Said this is for the people of the summer season that call it the work sick for no damn reason. And this is for the people that are down the north, on my bros and my hoes of the GLO.
The Riverdale Rippers had a bunch of hates. Chinese food is the shit, and I think it's fly when girls stop by for the summer.